What's up, everybody? It's Adam with Pietronix Audio, and you're listening to the Rock, Paper, Scissors podcast, the show where we interview musicians about how they stay rockin', how they make that paper, and how they cut out resistance. I want to thank the Music Group Studios in Edmond for letting us film here, and if you want to find out more about Pietronix audio cables, visit our website at pietronix.com or visit us on social media at Pietronix Audio. Thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? This is the Pietronix Rock, Paper, Scissors podcast. I'm your host, Adam Ray. Today, I've got Chanda Graham with me. How's it going, Chanda?
It's going pretty well. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing swell.
Good.
So Chanda's been killing it in the music scene. She's a vocalist, band leader. She's got all sorts of work in her legal career. Like music's definitely not the only thing you do, but you've been really excelling at music and like making it more of a priority, I can tell. So I wanted to, for everybody out there to see what you've been up to, see what's been working for you.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So like, first off, rock, paper, scissors, how you keep rocking. So like, how do you keep going? What inspires you to like keep booking the next gig and keep working the next music project? In general, like to like music wise, and then the whole hustle of everything.
I think besides, music being kind of a passion of mine since I was a kid, but in addition to that, what kind of keeps me going, what keeps me inspired is interacting with other musicians, going to other people's shows. I was lucky enough in the past few weeks to go see Bobby Sparks and Layla Hathaway like a week apart.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so usually when I go to stuff like that, I come out, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to write this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Now, it might not actually happen, but it does inspire me, to keep going, piques your creativity or, perks it up.
Usually for me, when I go to a show, it's one or the other. It's usually I want to come home and write all night, or I want to give up. I'll never be that good.
I just never, I know I will never, ever sing like Layla Hathaway, but I will take some, pointers from her. The way she arranges things and does things, I won't be able to do it like she does it. I won't never harmonize with myself, but it's just inspirational to watch her keep going, even though she's kind of an unsung hero. She's not a, top of the chart, anything ever, except to other vocalists. Like when I went to her show, I was like, every singer that I know is in this building right now. So she just going and sing, even like sometimes going to see some of the young cats that are coming up now and that are doing records and stuff. Yeah. That's inspirational as well.
And like you kind of keep it fresh with your own bands. Like tell me how you keep that. 'Cause like you've got different players, like you've got a different drummer when I see you and, a different guitarist. And
oh, that's more of a necessity than desire. Although I will say, different folks, depending on who's playing my set lists, will be probably a little different because you have to pay attention to who's doing what and what people excel at. So, yeah, but I would say that's more of necessity than convenience because thankfully, a lot of these really, really excellent players don't mind playing with me, and I appreciate them for that. But because they're so excellent, they're in demand. So, you got to have a little list, top 5, go down that list sometimes. And like I said, just be aware enough of who's playing to, modify the set list accordingly. So you play to everybody's strengths.
Yeah. So I know you've got a job, as you call it, a legal career, attorney work, judge work. And how do you shuffle all of that and music? You must love music to want to be working still after you got all of that other going on.
I do love music, but as I think we were talking before, it's like having, two...
You're self-employed two different ways.
Self-employed 2 different ways, 2 side hustles, however you want to look at it,
Right.
But it can get difficult. I won't lie and say, oh, it's a breeze. It's not. When both of them, I mean, they both have lows and highs. Like, you go, I got 3 gigs this week, 4 gigs next week, that'll happen. And then you'll go a whole month with nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And, same thing when you're an attorney, sole proprietor. The business is the same way. It's up and it's down. You got people banging your door down for a while, and then you got a dead period. So you just hope and pray that they don't coincide and both jump at the same time, though that has happened.
Yeah.
Or both, go nowhere, because then that starts to affect my pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer one or the other of them to be,
so
steady.
When you're like, specifically, how do you keep things organized and like all the paperwork? Do you do all your own taxes and all that, or do you go to somebody, or
Send it out?
Yeah, because it's a lot of different things you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Send it out. I mean, keep a paper trail of what you bring in and what you pay out, which I use a calendar for all that. I put, when you put stuff on your Google Calendar, there's that notes area down there, and I put how much the gig is paying and how much I paid everybody on the gig. Plus,
Same.
Everybody wants to be Cash App, Venmo, or whatever, so you can just run a tally on there. So that helps.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing with the legal work.
I noticed you were doing a whole lot of side work when we first met, probably like 10 years ago, and then. Of course, your own stuff, but then there was like a point that you decided to like start the hustle. Like, when was that? And
I kind of started to do my own thing when I stopped working with the 10-piece band that we were both working in. I started, doing my own thing. Then I had always wanted to do jazz, and so with not being gone so much, because that group used to go quite a bit. With not being gone so much, I was able to get my feet into the scene. I knew a couple of people, but I just started going to, I think the first thing I started going to was a jam session that Adam Ledbetter was doing over on the east side. Uh-huh. So that's where I started to meet more people. I think I met Christian Pearson there. Yeah. And then, some of the guys that we played with in the 10-piece weren't in the jazz scene. So I just started going to jazz jams. There wasn't a lot available at that time. I mean, I think Adam's Jam was the only thing that I really knew about. And then went from there to Saints.
Oh, yeah. Saints had the jam back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's Radbar now, but it's become,
is it?
Yeah. It's got a whole different name and
I haven't
vibe
been down there
and
so
everything.
long. Child, when I came park, I got I'm spoiled. I'm from Oklahoma. So I'm like, I'm not paying to park all this land around here.
Yeah, especially the plazas. Like,
keep my $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't been down there in a long time, but that was a scene where I met a lot of people. I met Bobby Sparks though through gospel. I met him through church connections. So you just don't know where you're gonna get your next connection from, but you have to be open.
And how did you start reaching out? Did you just like reach out to folks you already knew that were club owners, or?
To be honest, I've never really reached out.
Yeah,
I've never really hustled gigs.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm busy, so I just really haven't had the time. But I can just opportunities when I would go to different jams and get up and do stuff. People that were in the audience or people that knew me would recommend me to places and stuff like that. But I've honestly really never. For
those who don't know, like, you're already on the scene. You've sung on everybody's record already. Like, you've done a lot of studio work, a lot of live work, just as a vocalist. So, so it's not like you had to make a name for yourself.
Well, I just had to put myself out there as an independent.
I'm doing my own thing now. Yeah,
singer, as opposed to singing along with different folks, because that's been fun too. Though done a lot of country. I'm in Oklahoma, so done a few country records. Yeah, some of everything.
You gotta. If you want to play in Texas, you gotta have a fiddle in the band. If it's the same in Oklahoma, you gotta do a little country.
It's true.
So I know when I've been like just a sax player in your band, I know you take care of everybody. I know gigs don't necessarily pay that well. How do you keep that? I mean, what's your strategy on booking gigs? You're not going to take it, just everything that comes along to you, because you want to make sure I know you take care of your band. So how do you make sure that all happens?
I think I've just been kind of picky about what I will accept. And then if it's something that I just really want to do that's not quite measuring up, that's where having a job helps. And I can come, I can add something out of pocket, or I will go literally, I just won't pay myself and just make sure everybody else gets paid.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, so I mean, it stays, it's a lot of times it's a labor of love, quite frankly.
Yeah. Have you done any recording projects lately?
I haven't done any of my own.
I know when Coronavirus came out, you had that awesome Rona Blues song.
That was because I was just so frustrated with that whole situation. I wasn't even trying to write a song. It just
came out of it.
Yeah, it just burst forth. But what I found out from that is apparently it takes 3 or 4 million streams to make $1. Because I have yet to make $1. I signed up for the who is it? Oh, I can't remember the name of the entity that will collect your royalties. Right. But I signed up, so I don't want to be bombarded. So I was like, don't send me a check unless it's at least $100. Right. Well, guess who hadn't gotten any checks yet?
No check yet?
Nope, hadn't made it yet. So I was like, I thought it was pennies on the dollar. It must be a percentage of a penny.
Yeah, I checked.
That you get for streams.
I've got one that had tens of thousands of plays on one of the things, and I emailed them and I said, do I have any sort of money? And they said, we'll let you know. I have like a $25 limit. Like, don't let me know. So I haven't made that, at least. So.
I mean, it's hard out here for a pimp. No lie. You do have to love music to do music, because, the vast majority of us are never going to be Beyonce. We're never even going to be Layla Hathaway, who's not celebrated at that level. So you have to love it to keep doing it, because
why do you love it? What made you fall in love with music?
Oh, apparently I was born with it. I can remember being a little kid and coming home, and every time I got out of the car, I would just start belting out the songs because the acoustics were so good, right? In the driveway at this certain point. I mean, and I just always loved it. I think it was cultivated in the church, because that's where I first, sang with some order and some requirements. And I think it started there. I loved gospel music. I still love gospel music, as a matter of fact. So it started in the church, and I've always had a passion for it. It's just, it wasn't thought of as a viable means to make a living.
Well, yeah.
It was rather discouraged, in fact. And so
still is not, but
I had to go and get a real job. What do you think of this music thing? But I mean, I was in trying to think. I think I played piano before I sang. So piano came first, then singing came, then clarinet, the marching band. So I just always loved it, all the different forms of music and the different creative expression.
Yeah. Well, when did you get in? I know like gospel and, the blues, jazz that you're into aren't that far apart, but when did you get into like you've got you like the really old blues artists.
Yeah. And jazz.
Yeah. When did you find them? And
I remember very specifically when I found jazz. It was when, back in the day, youngsters, you would only be able to watch cartoons on Saturday mornings. Not like now, where they're 24/7. So on Saturday mornings, your mother would sit you in front of the TV so she could do her chores. We'd watch cartoons, and then after the cartoons, these old movies would come on. That's when I first saw Elvis, was in the old Elvis movies. Those would come on. But this particular movie came on, and it was 7 Year Itch, and Julie London sang Cry Me a River. And I was like, oh my God. And that just did it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as jazz.
Cool. Yeah, when you've got a great set list that it's got a personality to it. Like you like the humorous, the clever songs, tell me some of your favorites that you've been doing. There's several of those you take us way back in the old jazz stuff.
Let's see. My favorites and the crowd favorites might differ a bit. I know one thing I particularly enjoy doing, though, is the mashup songs. So the song, I mean, it goes both ways. It could either be a jazz song, a jazz standard, like we do My Funny Valentine to the track of AC/DC's Back in Black.
Yeah, that's a mashup.
Yeah. Or on the other side of that, we'll do a tune like one that Kongwa Mundende arranged for me. We did Jolene.
Yeah.
And just put a little swing in it.
There you go.
So we'll go both ways on those mashups. Those are probably my favorite to do. Are the mashup tunes that, incorporate a little bit of everything, give a fresh flavor to something old. I like reimagining those songs, but then I also like just the old stuff, like Big Mama Thornton's version of Hound Dog. Even though I love Elvis, that was the first record that I think we had in the house. The album, one of Elvis's greatest hits.
Yeah,
and love him. But when I heard Big Mama Thornton's version of Hound Dog, I was like, that's popping.
Power, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it just is, even musically still today, it is still popping. So I enjoy that. Now, the audience, they prefer the raunchy tunes.
That's what I was going to say.
Not to say I am totally entertained by them. Obviously, I wouldn't pick them. I liked them too, or I wouldn't have picked them out. But the audience kind of likes the blue tunes.
Yeah.
I think they used to call it the I can't think of the term they used. Not the blue blues, was it? Could be. But there was a term for those songs even back in the day that were a little bit dirty blues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I tell young people all the time, like, these dirty blues songs, some of them are just as nasty as some of the modern, songs that talk about things using words that you shouldn't use in polite company.
Yeah, when you learn what those old words mean.
Yeah, they were used, but they used metaphors.
Exactly.
They didn't just throw it in your face.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were just as vulgar.
Yeah.
And the surprise, I guess I'm not really surprised, though, is a lot of the women of the blues that did the real dirty blues. I mean, you would think Sugar in My Bowl wouldn't be anything that would cause anybody's eyebrows to raise. But then when you examine the song, which I tend to do because I'm kind of a nerd, I was like, oh,
and then picture it,
my bowl.
Back in the day when they haven't heard anything dirty.
Right. Not directly.
It's not like in your face all day.
Yeah. Yes, you can get away with it because there are people who don't even get it. So
you've been hosting the jam now at ICE, right? Yeah. When did you start that?
Ew. It's been a long time.
You had that going before COVID,
it was,
right?
Yeah, well before COVID. Maybe 2016, 17, maybe.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
So tell me how that's been. I know it's been, ups and downs, but it's fun as hell to get out there and jam with everybody.
It's a cool jam. ICE is cool. So the first time I went there, because they have a great R&B night there too that I used to go to. Actually, there was an open mic that they used to have there, which is one of the first things that I started going to with the live band seated. So it was cool to do. But I just had such a nice, cool, inviting vibe. So it's just a cool place to be in.
Yeah.
In the first place. And we used to do it every Monday. Then we went to, I think first Mondays started after COVID. Before COVID, it was an every Monday deal.
Right.
Then first Monday started. Then they changed their opening hours to being closed on Mondays and Tuesdays instead of, was it Sunday? I think maybe they were only closed one day a week before.
Right.
So that they can have a full weekend, they're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. And so we ended up with what we do now, which is Sacrosanct Sundays, which...
Is that the first Sunday of the month?
It's the fourth Sunday of the month.
Fourth Sunday every month.
Which is harder
to keep track Center, of. It's like 36 and Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A good time to have a great house band.
Yeah, so you've got a house band, you do the first set, and you... usually the band plays a couple, then you come take command for a while, and then it becomes a jam after that, right?
Yes.
So
after the band eats, because they've got great eats there too.
Oh yeah. Catfish, cornbread,
burgers, wings.
Yeah.
Used to be when we first started, they would have different pasta dish on Monday nights.
That'll fill you up.
Yeah. Some pretty good cooks have come through there.
So I like to talk the scissors part of rock, paper, scissors is like cutting out resistance or cutting out the bullshit that gets in your way. What has been some of the resistance that you've come across in booking your gigs? First of all, just tell me what it is, and then tell me how you've gotten through it.
I know one of the first things that I noticed, and I don't know if this is just the jazz community, but there was a resistance to having vocalists, period. So quite frankly, one of the gigs that ended up being kind of one that got me the most notoriety in the jazz community, they want singers at first, but unfortunately for them, I had done a gig at the place that they were doing the jam before they started the jazz jam, because the owner was a friend of a friend, and the friend had recommended me to the owner when they were doing this fundraiser there. So it actually was my first gig out as a solo artist that I did there.
Yeah.
And so I had done that there just, weeks or months before they started the jazz jam there. So the first time that I came over there, and I was just sitting there for the, the open jam, wanting to get up and do a song or whatever, and I obviously was not going to be asked to do one, but
you didn't have a saxophone in your hand.
Right. The owner was like, we're gonna need to get her up and do a song. He was like, are you singing? I was like, I don't know if I am, doesn't look like it. And then he went and talked to the guy that was over and was like, we need to get her up on the stage. So and so after that happened, then the audience would start to ask, well, is she singing or not?
Yeah.
And so kind of forced people's hands, because I'm like, what is the big deal? I mean, let's get real. Oklahoma City is not a hot spot for straight ahead instrumental jazz. Right. It's just not. So
we got some cats here, but it's not.
We got some cats here, but we don't have this huge audience that's going to come out and do,
Yeah.
So let's just be real. The average listener is going to want to hear a singer.
Yeah. They're going to,
full instrumental jazz shows will be strongly supported by other instrumentalists, but the other instrumentalists are gigging, and so guess who your audience is going to be?
Oklahoma City listener is not going to.
No,
they don't. Yeah,
no. So let's be real. If we're going to talk about the economy of it, whether you like it or not, you're going to get some vocalists up in there.
That's one. I haven't thought about that as resistance, but then. In my own band, I tried to do instrumental for a long time, and nobody paid attention. I was just, jazz furniture, as they call it. And then started, singing songs people know, all of that. Like, you got to do, like...
Yeah, and there are those purists who are critical about that. Those people, I mean, I wouldn't consider those roadblocks. I just ignore them when they, put their whiny posts on Facebook. Like, blah, blah, blah. You've been saying this for 3 years. Maybe you need to adjust something that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I don't see why there's a competition. We all offer what we have, what our gift is, to the creative process. And I don't see why your instrument, because, you know, it's a physical object that you're holding, holds any more relevance than my instrument that is within me.
Yeah, that God gave you.
Yeah, so, you know, people like that I think are weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that as a resistance. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm a horn player.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, and there are people that are still, you know, I still hear about it every now and then, but like I said, I'm pretty picky, so I don't get around too much. So I don't deal with too much, and maybe it's because I'm old and because I, you know, look like I will handle your ass.
Yeah, like, you know.
So maybe that's why I don't have to deal with it as much.
You know what you're going to deal with. And
other
what you
singers have
dealt
with it, but I'm like, oh, I wish somebody would have said that to me.
Yeah.
Please.
I wish I could see you sing more. You know, I'm trying to be out there working myself, but it's always fun.
Well, so you're gigging.
I have tons of fun.
Yeah.
I think that's the main gist of what I wanted to ask you.
Cool.
What other shows have you got coming up?
I have a couple of private things coming up, but the next public thing I have is with the Depot, at the Depot, inside in Norman on October 15th. I believe it's a Sunday.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that one.
And
do that one with a 5-piece.
How can people find you online and book you and all of that sort of stuff?
Chanda Graham, just straight up. Everybody always says, "What's your stage name?" Don't have one.
You don't need.
I don't have the energy to even think of it. But yeah, Chanda Graham. That's with a C and no R.
Yeah, I'll put it up there. Yeah.
Or I think you can pull it up by Lady Music Lawyer as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chanda. You've been killing it, and I wanted to learn from you, and I wanted others to learn from you. And
well, thank you for having me, Adam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you need to let your light shine a little more too, because you're a multi-instrumentalist, vocalist. You write, super talented.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to get my name out there, like you've been doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work. I did a lot of free stuff first.
Oh yeah.
So, you know.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I want to thank the Music Group Studios in Edmond for letting us film here. And if you want to find out more about Pietronix audio cables, visit our website at pietronix.com or visit us on social media at Pietronix Audio. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I said a cuss word. Is that okay?
Yeah, I said a couple. That's fine.
Like podcast, I'm like, I think it's okay to cuss on a podcast.
You didn't say any big ones.